Haleigh Tieken, and this is Steps to Publishing a Magazine Article. Please note that the following information comes from outside sources. So like I said, I'm Haleigh Tieken. This is Independent Study Mentorship Fall 2015. My teacher is the lovely Mrs. Click. My mentor is Mr. Rick Clapp. He is the owner of Bay Area Media Group, which is home to 3 magazines, the Gulf Coast Mariner, Best Practices, and Bay Area Houston magazine. And my project topic is on how to successfully publish a magazine article. And this is a picture of me and my mentor. So like I said, the location where I am mentored at is Bay Area Media Group, and it's located in Seabrook, Texas, and this is just a picture of it. What is ISM? ISM stands for Independent Study Mentorship and is a class that juniors and seniors can take to further their knowledge in a certain career field that they may be interested in pursuing when they're older. So some course requirements are: you must complete an in-depth mentorship study, you must have 2 to 3 hours a week with your mentor and document them in your journal entries and your activity log. You must also complete a Weebly online portfolio, which just kind of showcases your different assignments that you've completed and just what you've learned throughout your mentorship. And this in front of you, whenever you get the chance, this is what my online portfolio looks like. So feel free to look at it whenever you want. You must also complete a midterm presentation and a final presentation, which will be presented to a panel of graders at the end of the semester, and also a product, which is what the magazine is, and that's also, this is the final presentation. So, explanation of project topic. I've always really had a passion for writing. I really enjoy putting my thoughts on pen and paper and just expressing myself. I sometimes write for fun, that may be crazy, but I really enjoy it. So anyways, this mentorship has really been great for me, and I've learned a lot, and I've really bettered my skills and become a better writer because of it. So, some key points I'll be discussing. I'll be looking at the agenda for my mentorship, and this is just what I've accomplished and just the different layout of the plan for my mentorship. I'll also be looking at how to start an article, which is the thesis, descriptive language, and then of course the conclusion. I'll be showing off my fashion article and restaurant review, which have both been published. We'll be looking at my research, which is kind of a correlation between digital magazines versus original magazines. And then I'll show off my experimentations with photography and an explanation of my product with progressive pictures, just showing how I got to the finished product. And then concluding statements, which is an appreciation of my teacher, mentor, parents, and evaluators, and then my works cited. So the agenda for my mentorship, I first start off observing activities and just kind of learning what it takes to run a magazine company and what the daily activities were during business hours. I also looked at the sales process, and this was done on my own time. I just kind of wanted to see what people wanted to read about and how to increase sales overall. I also wrote a fashion column, which was published in the October 2015 issue of Bay Area Houston magazine. And then I'll be showing off a little bit of my photojournalism. I actually got to meet Mary Alice Cherry, and for those of you who don't know, she's the editor of the magazines, and she is also a Pulitzer Prize winner, so that was really cool. And I got to have an interview with her as well, so I was able to shadow the graphic artist and just kind of learn a little bit more about what he does and what the industry is for graphic art. And then I learned about marketing / the brand name and what it means to have a good reputation throughout a company. So this is some research done on original magazines versus digital magazines, and these are some of my findings. The 80-year-old magazine Newsweek announced recently that it is going all viral and no longer publishing a print magazine. With the rise in digital media such as tablets, iPads, and laptops, magazines are starting to decrease one by one. It is estimated that more than 40% of people are now getting most of their news online at sites like Huffington Post, Yahoo, and websites of popular news organizations like CNN and USA Today. Tina Brown, the former editor of Vanity Fair and The New Yorker, was brought in to help save Newsweek in 2010, then ended printing magazines and started displaying them on the internet and through their app. In 2012, magazines were hoping to increase their sales digitally due to the release of the tablet and new and improved technology on smartphones. However, companies didn't see as big of an increase in sales as expected. These are just some fun facts that I found while I was conducting my research. And so, as of January 2013, publishing consultant Thea Selby reported that there were 446 magazine apps available through the Nexus Google Play Store, 744 in the Amazon Kindle Store, and 2,954 in the Apple iTunes Store. So that just shows how prevalent technology is becoming in our society today. And this I thought was interesting. When a magazine declares that it's going digital only, several death signs can appear, and this is what employees should look for. There's often staff reduction, leadership changes, blaming the advertisers, and blaming the changing habits of the audience. So it'd be like if I was the boss of a company or a magazine company, I would start blaming all the things that are popular now, like technology, because we have to switch from original magazines to digital magazines. And then news magazines have been among the hardest hit facing magazine declines. And this one's kind of random, but publishers have long lines of books, and only about a fraction of these will get published. So I also conducted a survey, and I just wanted to know what viewers really wanted to read and learn about in articles. And so my survey consisted of 29 people ranging from the age of 16 to 60. So it was a very diverse age group, and it just kind of showed the differences among generations. I got my survey results through SurveyMonkey, which produced quick, fast, sharp results. And I also gained a graph from it, but unfortunately I couldn't upload it on here. So some of my hypotheses for the survey were, I feel that more people today get information in their news off the internet rather than by paper copy. In my opinion, more people would want to read a shorter and more concise article rather than a multiple page / paragraph article. I also thought that adding a visual aid or a picture would help increase the amount of views and the amount of people who bought a magazine and wanted to learn more about it because they're intrigued and it's not just all text and long and lengthy. So questions for my survey, I just asked some things like, do you have a favorite magazine? Do you watch / read the news? If so, do you get it from the internet? Do you often lose interest when reading long articles? Do your parents read magazines? Do you think magazines are going out of style? Do you use social media? And would pictures make an article seem more appealing? So my survey results, I thought that digital magazines were becoming more prevalent and more popular in our society, but my survey results actually showed that magazines, the paper copy, is still very thoroughly used today and still very popular as well. This one, I also didn't think as many of our youth today stay informed with the news and worldly events, but I was glad to see that, yes, we still do, and we watch the news a lot, so that's good to know that we stay informed. I also found that when you include pictures in an article, whether it be a magazine or even a research paper, it attracts more viewers and makes more people want to read it. So starting off an article, when you're first assigned a topic, you immediately want to start brainstorming ideas and just formulating opinions on how you feel about the topic that you were assigned. Then you go to establishing the thesis, and in my opinion, from what all my English teachers have taught me, this is the most important part of an essay because it drags your readers in and it kind of establishes and sets the stage for what you want to talk about. Then we go to who, what, when, where, and why. And this just basically informs the reader about the purpose of the article. And then, of course, the conclusion, and you want to end it making the reader seem intrigued or inspired so that they go and tell their friends about a magazine, and then that increases sales overall. So some writing tips are, you want to identify the reader. An article is like a conversation between you and the audience. You should always think like a journalist when you're writing your article. Aim for attracting viewers' attention and intriguing them. And one thing that I always think about whenever I write papers or write articles is that not everyone's interested in what you're talking about, so your goal is to make them interested and make them want to read your article. You also want to invoke emotions within them, such as happiness, sadness, shock, fear, excitement, whatever it may be. And the best ending links back to the beginning in some ways, so it'll remind you of the whole purpose of the article and just kind of relate to the world as a whole. So the research for my fashion article, when I was first assigned this topic, it was a very fun article to write, but I immediately started researching fashion trends and looking up different aspects of fall fashion and what's trending this season. So I got my information from Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, and Glamour, and I also based my findings off of my own personalized style and just kind of, I hope you can see it throughout my article when you get a chance, So I also was able to do a restaurant review with a local non-franchise owned restaurant, and I did it with Amici Italiano Ristorante. The chef was Chef Giuseppe Trauma, and I was able to call him and get an interview with him where I asked him questions like where it's located, what do they serve, how fresh is the food, the 3 most popular items such as signature dishes and desserts, and then the ambiance/atmosphere of the restaurant. These are just some of the answers to my interview questions that I gained during my interview. So whenever I completed my food review, I formulated all my answers into my article. I also went back a second time to test my photojournalism skills, and these 2 are pictures of the restaurant I took just so you can kind of get a picture of what it's like in the ambiance and atmosphere. And then this is the final copy of my article. But one thing that I thought was cool, I actually visited him last week, and he told me, well, I went to eat there, but I saw him while I was there. But he told me that my article actually increased sales and that a lot more people were calling in and making reservations to come and eat at his place. So that made me feel really good. So some photography tips. The definition of photojournalism is the visual documentation of newsworthy events and subjects. You never want to shy away from taking too many pictures because when you get home, you never know how good a picture looks on a tiny little screen until you blow it up because it's just a big difference. But anyways, you want to take advantage of cropping photos. It allows for a better representation of the picture. It can sometimes be easy to spot what the subject of a photo should be, but other times it can be difficult, and this is when your imagination plays a key role. And it's important to have a sense of style and personality when taking pictures. Even the way you edit can establish you as a photojournalist, and the way you write can establish you as a journalist. So, photography tips continued. It is good to be comfortable with technology and know how to work it, how to upload your pictures, which camera works best for you, which app works best for you. Strong photographs, like in journalism, often depict emotions such as shock, excitement, fear, amusement. And it's good to pay attention to content and not get wrapped up in things that don't have any effect on what you're trying to accomplish. So don't be distracted by external factors around you. Just take the picture, focus, even for writing as well. So. And these are just some examples. This was when I was in Disney World. It was all decorated for Halloween. But I actually took this off my phone, and I used the app called Visco for this one, and then I used the app Aviary for this one, and this was when we were in Mexico. So some key points in the interview with the graphic artist. The field of graphic design allows for artistic touch and a creative mind, but sometimes it's hard if your client gives you a design and it doesn't always look professional, or look up to date with what's going on around us, it can be kind of hard to tell them that, or sometimes they'll just want you to keep the design. But one thing I thought was interesting in this field is that there's never a decrease in jobs. Someone is always looking for a graphic artist, whether it be a tattoo parlor, card decals, a magazine company, or an advertising agency. The list goes on. And only a bachelor's of communication is required to be a graphic artist. And you have to be able to be flexible and be able to meet deadlines. So in my key points in the interview with the editor, I really enjoyed this interview because, I don't know, I look up to Mary Alice, and even though I've only met her in person once, just talking to her on the phone really inspired me. And so in the field of reporting, people won't always be kind to reporters. So when you try and get an interview with, let's say, a more prominent or famous person in society, they may not always want an interview, or they may just not have the time. So a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism is required, or you can just use it to gain a job in reporting. I'm doing integrated marketing and communication, so I still kind of get the gist of communication and journalism. She also attended Oxford University in England and the University of Paris. I thought this was really cool because I really want to study abroad, maybe in Madrid or England. And it just kind of shows how others around the world interpret journalism and just how you want to aim to attract viewers worldwide. So a high to low salary for a reporter would be $30,000 to $50,000. And reporting the field of public relations is more stable than some jobs in journalism. And like graphic artists, you have to be able to meet strict time deadlines. And being a reporter allows for many opportunities to meet prominent people in society. So she has actually met Elizabeth Taylor, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Charles, which I thought was really cool. So the demonstration on my ISM product, I'll take this for a sec. So these magazines laying in front of you are actually my product, and it's just kind of a combination of my work. They each have the little tabs on them so you can flip to the pages easily. But this just kind of shows my whole process of what I've learned throughout my mentorship, how I went through. I was assigned a topic, I started researching it, and then I went through the editing process, picking out the pictures and kind of designing what it looks like. So there's 2 articles in there. The first one is the October issue with my fashion article, and then the second is a restaurant review. And the editor, as I mentioned before, Mary Alice, actually edited and revised my articles. This is just kind of my product progress. This is a picture of my rough draft. I actually wrote it only one time, but I don't know, I just really like to write, so it just came to me whenever I wrote it. And then this is some of the pictures I used in my article. As you can see, they're on the magazine as well, or in the magazine as well. And then this is my finished product, but you guys have the paper copy in front of you. And there's also the restaurant review. So does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns?
At this point, I would say very well presented and
Thank you.
very short and concise. I think it's very well done.
Thank you.
You're hired.
Your pictures, like where did you get the pictures for your fashion?
I actually use stock photos because you can't do the photos off of Google. So I think it was istockphotos.com. But in conclusion, I would like to thank everyone for being here today. Thank you for my teacher for allowing me this unique opportunity to pursue a study in something that I really enjoy. Thank you to Mr. Klatt for allowing me to better my writing and just learn a little bit more about what it takes to be a journalist or a reporter. And also thank you to my parents for listening to me present this presentation and cry and whine about it, but in the end. Okay. But also thank you to my audience for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to me today. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the cupcakes.
Well, all that worrying